Alright, so this is the start of day 4. You'll remember on day 1 I showed you my hotel here, and turns out there are a lot of police officers that have been brought into the city staying in my hotel. Over here you'll see them just about on every corner, and right down there is the convention site where the summit's taking place, and we'll see how today goes with these protests. Okay, day 4 here at the Media Center in Toronto. This is the final day of the G20. And you know, yesterday soccer played a big part in the daily life of the people here at the Media Center. And today will probably be the same. We've got a couple of big games, including England versus Germany. I also found it interesting that some of the civil society groups are using soccer as a way to get the attention of the media. Here's something I just picked up on a table. It's a yellow card, right? And it says at the top, show the G8 a yellow card for breaking education promises, and it has the talking points of the organization back on the back, and I thought that was a pretty clever way to get their message out to the media. And this is the Stanley Foundation's David Shore doing his first interview of day 4. This is with BNN, Business News Network in Canada. And here's David being interviewed by a Hong Kong newspaper. Even as we wrap up the G20 here in Toronto, there's already talk about the next step in this process, which will be the G20 summit in Seoul, South Korea in November. And we're about to go to a briefing that will tell us a little bit about the agenda and the logistics for that meeting as well.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. 안녕하세요, in Korean. I gather that many of you are coming to Seoul, so I'll be...
All right, another interview for David, this time with Russia Today, the 24-hour English language service sent out by Russia. Even the security people want to get their picture taken here at the G20. Yes, it looks like our friends in the G20 are having their family photo taken. There's the king. Prince Abdulaziz, right? Right. Standing here with Alan Alexandrov.
Hello.
Little running commentary on what we're seeing here on the screen.
Now that we're, open mic.
Be very, very careful.
I've learned not to say
very,
anything,
very careful.
especially about hair.
Looks like they're all there. Where's the big dog? Oh, there he is. He just came in. There he is.
No, he's doing directing. He's directing.
Yes, he's the one. He's going to tell you where to stand. Meanwhile, Stephen Harper stands there and looks like he's
you see,
lost.
There's Kirchner.
Yes.
So,
I don't know who that is up there.
So
is it not an EU representative?
No, I think the EU has Rumpy, who is the president. Hu Jintao, Mexican, Argentinian. Who is he?
I don't know. In fact, I don't know who. Yeah. I see Ban Ki-moon back there. It's Bob Zoellick.
Yeah. What, are you supposed to wave?
Now you wave. All right. Goodbye, everybody. Goodbye. We're waving at you. Over here by the fake lakes, there's a lot of things going on, including there's a little interview press scrum going on with, I think it's the spokesman for an NGO called Make Poverty History.
It would be much smarter to use both some cutbacks, but rely more on smart taxation. Now, some taxes on middle to low income people would be counted.
And this is David's interview with Voice of America. And this is David being interviewed by Xinhua, the news agency of China. So things are starting to come to a close here in Toronto for the G20. One of the first steps is this sort of public session of the world leaders. They're coming to gather around the tables here, and the cameras have been allowed in. There's Russian President Medvedev. I'm not sure who he's talking with. And there's President Obama, and there's on the left is President Zuma of South Africa. All right, near the end of the day, we decided to do an impromptu media briefing using David Shore and a friend from CG and from the G20 research group. I moderated it. I'll play you what that looked like, but the audio is a little hard to hear.
Well, thank you all very much for coming. My name is Keith Porter. I am the Director of Policy at the Stanley Foundation, and on behalf of our other two organizations represented here, the Center for International Governance and Innovation and Amongst Global Affairs, I'd like to welcome you all to our post-mortem dissection of the G8 and the G20. We have three experts here. I'm going to let each of them speak. So on.
Yeah, that's the big question, I think, is whether we're sort of at the end or the beginning, or sort of moving on, in a very different way.
Yes.
And where are you from?
Jordini Belarus from the I'd like to have your assessment of how Canada fared in this meeting compared to its agenda and the result.
Center, the chairman of the G20 right now, Stephen Harper, the Prime Minister of Canada, is giving his final remarks. And then here at the International Media Center, we're expecting a few world leaders to come over here and talk to the press as well. So the French Prime Minister, Nicolas Sarkozy, has come over here.
Get right on that table there. You can lean right over. I like the little gendarme over there.
And this is the British Prime Minister, David Cameron.
So there's something that the people can hold us to account for. In terms of our own plans, we will be slightly ahead of those targets. Our plan is to make sure that the debt-GDP ratio is falling by the end of our parliament, so we'll be meeting those targets as others will.
Well, folks, here at the International Media Center, things are starting to wrap up. This is it. This is the end of the G20 summit here in Toronto, and I hope you've enjoyed the reports. I see on my BlackBerry here I have a report, New York Times alert that says world leaders at Toronto summit pledge to cut deficits. So there you have it, the final report, the final word, and thanks for your attention, and I'll see you all back at home.